So, my name is Bree, and I am a co-founder of a meal prep service called BAK-UP, and I just kind of wanted to let you know a little bit about who I am. So, long story short, well, we're going to get into the long story, but long story short, I used to be fat, but now I'm just fat. So, I guess you could say I'm still on my journey. And I don't care that I'm kind of fat. Like, I'm not as fat as I used to be, which is saying something. I'm doing something right. Back in the day, Bree used to be like super depressed and super emo. I mean, she still kind of is a little bit, but a lot worse with that teenage angst. And she hid in her room all day and ate Oreos and Chips Ahoy and Coca-Cola because my mom is an addict to Coca-Cola. Love you, Mom. But I used to just hide in my room, antisocial, do not want to talk to anybody, just wanted to play. The whole video game scene, it was pretty bad, but my guilty pleasure was The Sims. I just didn't like the way that it looked. I didn't like the way that it felt. I was embarrassed of myself, didn't want to go out in public, didn't want to talk to people, wouldn't even go into a store by myself, required an escort, drove my mom and my sister nuts because I couldn't do things on my own. And that used to be when I was like in 270 pounds, and we're not talking the higher half of 270 now. We're aiming up in the high numbers. We're talking like 276, 277, 278. Now I am down to 182. I think it's 182. Well, the last time I checked, I think it is. Or 186. I can't remember the last one I saw, but it changes every day. So it's one of those numbers. I think a big thing I must admit is I don't pay attention to the scale because I have noticed on my journey that that number can make or break you if you focus on it. I started off looking for answers, didn't know what to do, didn't know how to ask my mom. I honestly was embarrassed and just wanted to take care of it myself, and I started going to Curve's gym, and they had a meal plan and everything, and it worked for me, but it was only a temporary fix. And what that did was it kick-started me on the path that I have been on for a few years now, which I needed that kickstart. I have no regret starting to go with Curves, but as I started to like go along my journey, I was getting bored with it, and I was just like, this can't be my life now. Restricted to certain foods, certain brands of foods. Like, I was eating the same meals all the time. I was getting bored, and I started to panic because I started to fall off the wagon again, and I was scared because I didn't want to go back to what I was before. And I think a lot of people forget, like, you know, they get like discouraged with like what they're doing, or they get bored with something, and I think that's where people lack the tools, is actually going out and finding the new thing that works for you instead of just going back to your old habits and just throwing it all away. And that was a really, really hard lesson that I still struggle with today. I mean, because you gotta live life. I mean, there are gonna be times where you just want that damn midnight Milky Way candy bar. Like, you gotta have it. But that was my problem, though, was like I didn't know how to find the courage to get back on the wagon, and I didn't want to go back to the same thing that I was doing before because I had gotten bored and I was over it. Like, you don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over again. Like, that's the whole reason why people change their lives, because they're tired of doing the same thing. It's the same idea. Like, So after that, like, I had started going to college, and I don't know, I didn't really pay attention to what I ate, and I started gaining some of the weight back. And, and then, like, I ended up getting into my first relationship, and you know how that goes, like, going out to eat, like, you want to make the food as good as you can make it because you're trying to prove that, like, hey, I can make food, like, I'm good, like, wifey material, like, look, I can cook, like, look at this stuff. But Bree did not know healthy alternatives to stuff like that, and she started to blow up again. So she stumbled across a friend at her job when I used to be a cashier at Walmart, and this friend of mine, she was having spectacular weight loss. That's what I was obsessed about, was weight loss at the time. She just seemed so happy. Everybody was giving her compliments left and right. So I asked her, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? And she was like, I'm a Beachbody coach. I have been doing the 21-day fix. And, you know, I looked at the videos that night, and I just had to wait, you know, for a paycheck to come in so I could purchase it. And, you know, I'm, like, super stoked about it. And I'm like, yeah, like, this is going to work. Like, and I can do it from home and save money. And I started doing that. Like, I tried becoming a coach, and I tried, like, selling the product. You know, it gave me a discount on the items. And it worked for me for a while. But the thing with that was, like, I kept doing the same workout videos over and over again. I had to, like, condense all my food into these little containers to make sure, like, oh, I have enough of the red container, or I have enough of the blue container. And it worked for me at that time. It worked. And I'm not, you know, shooting it down, like, for anybody, because it worked for me. But I just couldn't see myself permanently doing it for the rest of my life. And that is, like, one thing that I have learned, is that it's normal to get bored. It is completely normal. The thing that we forget about when we go and, you know, try to start a weight loss journey, and, you know, I think the reason why people genuinely feel like they fail is because they get so bored with what they're doing, and they don't know where to go after. And that's one thing that I want to do, is, like, just bring people together, and, you know, not so much like, oh, I'm losing weight this way, this is the right way to do it, this is the right way to do it. Like, everybody has their own way. I think the trick is finding out what works for you at the time, and having the resources to, like, go out and, like, realize that you're getting bored, and understand that that's perfectly okay, but have the resources to go and start something new. Like, it's always exciting. Like, you're always looking for, you know, the newest fad, or, like, you know, the newest experience, like, trying new things. And I think people forget that, like, you can make that a part of a healthy lifestyle. Like, it's trying to live your life to the fullest. So I feel like diets, like, they're good start-offs, and they give you, you know, your basic building blocks of, you know, knowledge of, you know, how your body personally reacts to those different foods, and paying attention to what you're doing. But they forget to add the fun to it. There's no zest for life to it when you feel like you're being locked down. That's what I've learned about it, is that, you know, everybody can do anything their own way, but you got to find what works for you. And are you trying something new? Are you doing something different? Like, results are amazing. I mean, I feel like whatever you do, like, as long as you're making a health conscious decision, you're gonna get those results, just as long as you just persevere and keep trying to do what you're doing. What are some of your goals? Okay, so some of my goals, what I've been working on lately is just trying to get more toned. I feel like as long as you're exercising and you're eating well, you know, just making smart decisions, the weight will come off naturally, however you decide to lose it. Another goal, which, and I'm not trying to say that, you know, your dreams are impossible or whatnot, but I think one of my goals is to like be 100% happy with like my body completely. I honestly think that's super unrealistic, only because like the reason why like you have things in your life that you don't like is it's supposed to like send a trigger in your brain telling you like, hey, you don't like this, maybe you should do something about it. And I feel like if I was like 100% okay with like the way I looked, like I'd stop focusing on, you know, moving further, getting better, growing, learning. So as much as I, you know, would want like, you know, the perfect body, I feel like if I ever achieved it, I don't think it would last. After I got, oh, okay. Um, Excuse me. I've been eating chips on salsa. Um, my greatest piece of advice, I would say stop looking at the damn scale. Like that is your worst enemy. Like it can be so kind, but it can be so cruel at the same time. Um, there have been times where I've fallen off the wagon because of the scale, where I was like, you know what, screw it, like whatever I'm doing is not working. And you got the one thing I forget, you know, to explain to myself sometimes is that muscle weighs more than fat. So sometimes you gain muscle and you gain weight but it's not fat. You're not getting fatter. You're just gaining muscle mass. Another thing another piece of advice is to find a water bottle that actually works for you. If I have like one of those with like the little pull-up tops where like, you know, with the twist on lid and like you kind of like suction and like you just like drink it like that. I don't drink very much. I have to have like an open spout, like not one that requires any work where I can just pour the water into my mouth. But that's me personally. You're not drinking your water, you're gonna get results so much slower than, you know, what you would desire. And you know, with slow results comes, you know, discouragement, and water plays a big role in keeping on track, I'd say. Alright, so if you have made it to the end of this video, I want to give you kudos for being able to listen to my lovely monotone voice. You know, hopefully there was something in there that maybe you related to, or, you know, looking for advice, maybe I helped you in that area. Let me know. If you have any advice to give me, please let me know. I'm always looking to better myself, and you know, I want to do good. Like, I want to hear from you guys. Like, I want to make new friends. So if you could just, you know, subscribe and like our video, that'd be awesome. Let me know what you think.